Welcome back to GaleForceWins Season 2.
The GaleForceWins podcast is proudly sponsored by Newfound Marketing, a digital marketing agency located in St. John's, Newfoundland. Visit our website at newfoundmarketing.ca to find out how we can help your business grow. Newfound Marketing, a complement to your marketing team.
Well, Alan Dale, here we are. It is December 19th, I believe it is. We are at the end of a very, 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 very interesting year. 3 varies, that's a lot of interest. But I don't know, let's tell me how you feel about how the year's been for you.
No, I'm Alan Dale, and welcome to GaleForceWins.
Yes.
With me is my good buddy from the East End of St. John's. Where are we, Gerry, and what's the weather like? Might as well kick it off that way.
Well, we're at the East End of St. John's. You probably can't see it in cinematic mode, but it is 2 degrees and heavy rain here in St. John's. I would assume Gander's getting a lot of snow. But
just like every GaleForceWins episode, we get a nice little weather update right out of the gate. It has been a great 2022, Gerry, and we've spent the last couple of weeks really in reflection on what we've come through, the clients we've worked with, and thank you to all the clients that we've worked with. You've meant a great deal to us. Your stories are important to us, as they are important to the globe to know what people are doing all around this wonderful country, and indeed in places like the Turks and Caicos and Greece and Budapest, because we've been to all those places. Been a heck of a year.
Well, let me ask you this. What stands out to you in 2 years of interviewing people around inspiration? Give me some things that stand out to you.
Well, there's not a person that stands out, because that's it's difficult. I've been asked that before. It's difficult to describe who my favorite interview was, because they've all been really quite good. But what stands out the most, without a doubt, is that I get recharged when I have the conversations. It's like if I go a week or so without having a conversation, which rarely happens, I find my energy level goes down. The minute that I'm in conversation, I find completely re-energized again. That's the piece that stands out the most for me, which leads me to believe that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. I feel really good about the whole process when we go through it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, we came back from Budapest now about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and we haven't actually done any interviews since we were in Hamilton with Heddle Group. I feel the same way, Alan. I miss when we're not interviewing people. But we have in an hour's time, we have a very interesting interview coming up. And why don't you just reveal a little bit about that, and we'll do a little teaser for that one.
Well, we don't necessarily want to reveal who it is, but I mean, I think that for the people of Canada, it'll be a very interesting interview, because a lot of really cool things are happening in this part of the world here in Atlantic Canada, particularly in Newfoundland. And the next interview will be a lot focused on what 2023 might look like for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I'm pretty excited to get into the conversation. But again, it's the conversation that really matters. It's really feeling the optimism and feeling the energy and the excitement. Over the last couple of days, I got to interact with some really interesting people in the city. We met today with Fabian James, a great musician here in Newfoundland and Labrador, and to feel his optimism about what we were doing was amazing, coming from a guy like that who was just so creative.
Yeah, and I think if I was to reflect on the year, and you know what, like, to give a bit of advice, we always ask our guests to give a bit of advice. I think the advice that I would give to someone is just get up and do it. I'll be honest, not every day is a diamond, even though we are part of this GaleForceWins inspirational podcast. Not every day that I get up is a diamond, but I can tell you that reflecting on action and taking action, and a compliment to you is just get the gig. And I think any advice to someone out there is just start the thing. When we reflect, Alan, on the fact that we started this in December of 2020, and here it is now December 2022, and we're going into a 3rd season, it's exciting to know that, just get the gig, to your point. And I give a lot of credit to you for that. And another thing, on our episode that we were interviewed by Gerard Murphy, you gave me a lot of credit. And I'm going to give you some credit. I'm going to give you a lot of credit. You know, you have a lot of energy and you keep this going. One of the things, yeah, I do a lot of the back end editing stuff, but your desire to go somewhere, Budapest is an example. God knows where we're going to go in 2023. Some of the conversations we're having with people in Singapore, back to the Turks. It's exciting to be willing to just get up every morning and do something, right? And you are good at that.
Well, you know, I think, Gerry, we're both good at it. And what it is I think it's our willingness to say yes, right? To give something a try. And you're right, not every day is a diamond. But as Fred George was said, it takes pressure to make a diamond. And sometimes we're under pressure, especially you, get the content out, right? Because one thing to make the conversations happen, but you've got to tidy it all up in the back end. And there is pressure there, and I get it. But that pressure, as Fred would say, makes a diamond. I'm excited about 2023 because if you look at our kind of strategy for next year, it is pretty exciting. Our focal points on clients we want to bring in, on conversations we want to have, on potential sponsors for the podcast, and really on areas we want to go and explore and have those conversations. It's going to be a good 2023. We just got to put our heads down and get it done. But the most important thing is, business aside, the most important thing is to get into the conversations, right? And that's where we get the gig. We're good at it.
Yeah, I think so. Conversations matter. And when you think about the various things that we've done, DevSec, Mass 2022, Genoa bringing us on, it's one thing to have a conversation at a trade show. It's another thing to take that conversation or take conversations, like I call it, off the page, take them and extend their reach. So that's what I find interesting. But I mean, podcasting has been around for 20 years. Yeah. I've listened to podcasts for probably 20 years. But I think that it's gotten a lot of sophistication to it now. And I think what I like about what we're doing is that the people that need to get their conversations out, we're sharing those, you know?
Well, that's all we do, right? I mean, all we do is amplify somebody's story. Our job is really to keep out of the way, and we're getting better at it. I remember our first few episodes, people used to tell you guys got to stop talking. Yeah. And we listened, and we really did listen. And now we spend a lot of time just staying out of the way and let people tell their stories, because everybody has got inspiration in their life, right? And you can find pieces of inspiration in everybody's life. And for me and you, Gerry, or you and I think the coolest part of all of this is that people invite us into their life. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's quite a privilege. And I think that's where the energy comes from, you know? I talk to people who went through COVID and they kind of shut down and they weren't interacting with people. My gosh, we've interacted with more people through this pandemic than we ever could have before. And it's been a remarkable thing. And that's maybe why our podcast is finding so much kind of success, or it's resonating with people right now, is because they were starving for the conversation.
Well, I agree with you. And I just want a point of clarification is that, you know, we're kind of morphing into talking a bit about our business, which people who are into GaleForceWins and watch it on a Tuesday evening may not necessarily know that we are being hired on the side, you know, to go out and do things. So I will make this commitment, and I know Allan agrees with me, every single Tuesday night, we are making a commitment to post someone, something, some story of inspiration. What we're doing, you know, Monday to Friday, Monday on the weekends and stuff, is paid stuff that not necessarily will be shown on a Tuesday night. It may be on our YouTube channel, right? So I think, I don't know if I'm being clear in how I'm articulating the way GaleForceWins is organized.
No, it's 100%, right? I mean, what you see on our website and what you see on a regular Tuesday night is the conversations that we have, and that's our fuel. That is the jet fuel in what is GaleForceWins that keeps us moving. In the back end, Gerry and I create digital content for companies, organizations, associations, content that are really stories of what those people people do, what those organizations do. And it's through those stories that people explain their products, their services, their offerings, and really the why in what they do. And Gerry and I just facilitate that in the form of digital content that goes back to the customer, and then their story lives on in a very unique, different way. And not many people are doing it, and we're finding that a lot of people want it.
Yeah, and we're doing our best not to mix. We're not mixing the paid content in on Tuesday nights.
No.
A couple of times when we are hired by someone, we have found the conversation to be so inspiring. And the other thing, we're not scripted in any of this. None of it is scripted. So a customer might hire us to tell the stories of their company. If it makes sense and it's not commercialized, it will slip into some of the Tuesday night stuff, but it's not going to be, that'll be the exception rather than the rule. That's our commitment, I think, to the people that are following this.
100%, right? It's the scripting, I think, that takes away the genuine, authentic conversation that you and I think, are known for now, right? Is that we're going into this thing, we are just like the audience, learning as we go in the conversation. And I think that's the part I like about it the most. I mean, a couple of times we kind of got a little bit scripted up and it didn't sit well with us, but we were able to kind of work through it and get back to the genuine, authentic conversation. But I think that's what people want. People want to feel like they're learning about this the first time, and this is not all prescribed and how it's going to look and feel. And, some of our guests, quite honestly, aren't used to that.
No.
So some of them are used to everything being in a box, and you need to talk into that box. And it's remarkable the minute we let them out of the box, just how comfortable they are and how good they feel and how much more authentic and relatable the conversation is.
Yes, and I think what is interesting for me on another point I'd like to make, Alan, is that we have talked about journeys. So if you've been following us, I think this is an opportunity, at the end of the year to tell you a little bit about where our thinking is. We've done journeys, and we will continue to talk about journeys. Journeys are inspiring. That being said, every single person that we've had on this podcast has expertise, be it sales, be it marketing. We showed one with Jess Nana, showing a little bit about some of her marketing skills. But I think when we have a recording tonight with some friends that we've gotten to know, we're going to share some themes. Mm-hmm. So, we'll share this one where we're actually having a conversation on Zoom with two people that are not in Newfoundland, and it's going to be about family business.
That's exciting.
So talk a little bit, Alan, about, where we think we want to go with a stream of themes, I guess.
Yeah, well, 100%, right? So tonight, that's our business mentor, Chuck. Chuck has been keeping us focused, and he's been great, and he's got a real passion for small family businesses, and he and a colleague of his are going to talk a little bit about that. But so right, Gerry, we're trying to get thematic along some of the stuff that we do, right? So we've got an episode coming up which was done in Budapest, and that's really telling the story of Hungary, which is pretty misunderstood country, certainly from our point of view, and understanding how complex their political system was and is and continues to be. But what we were there to do is say, hey, this country is kind of cool, kind of a great place to be, and it's open for business. So that's a great theme, right? And we'll go down other themes like this throughout the year. And the other thing that's pretty exciting too is some of the major networks are starting to pay attention to what we're doing and asking how we can fit in and blend into what they're offering. And I'm excited about that. It's not necessarily something I ever thought that we would do, but the thought of taking our content and giving it and amplifying it even more through a network station might be kind of cool as well.
I agree. And a couple of things come to mind while you're talking is we have a new website. It's still GaleForceWins, WINS.com, but the folks at Newfound Marketing put a new website together for us. So I would encourage you to go visit that website. Tell us, Alan, a little bit about why we have a website.
Oh yeah, that's how you kind of get to know us a little bit. And I find websites are complicated beasts, as Jess Nana spoke to. You're always kind of second guessing what it should look like, how much information, how many visuals. But I can tell you this: people at Newfound did a bang up job for us. They captured exactly what it is that we wanted to say and hear. But it's just what I will say. Anybody in the audience that goes down that website, sees something they don't like, please let us know, and we're happy to kind of amend it and make sure that it resonates, because all we're trying to do is tell the story of what it is that we do through that website. So that was a cool experience too, and I think that took some time. Creating some back-end business models and all of that for us took some time, but I don't know about you, but right now at the end of 2022 and as we lead in to the holiday season, I have to tell you, I feel really good about the whole back end of GaleForceWins. It's clearly a nice solid foundation. Chuck is a big part of that, and you know, our efforts to get it to where it is a big part of that, and the website is the front end of the whole thing.
Well, I'm going to say this, you know, I continue to be motivated by individuals who are doing inspiring things. I think business is certainly something that's interesting because, you know, if you look at a business person, and I always say this, to walk away from a paycheck takes guts. And I think the more people that either do that or have a sideline are going to continue to enhance this province. And I tell you, it's not only this province, but this country. Oh, yeah. You and I have had the ability to travel around, and when we see other countries, I think Canada has a really, really important place in the world. And I think, anyway, I always used to wonder, like I've been in sales for 30 years, and I wonder if someone's got $1 million, $10 million, $50 million, what makes them get up in the morning? And what I realize, Alan, it's just a creativity, and you want to just continue to contribute. Because what are you going to do? Twiddle your thumbs? Like,
yeah,
you can't.
Yeah, some people like building, right? I mean, that's us, I think. We like building things, and we like kind of being part of a project and a process and all that. The cool thing that we have is that we're building and something that spreads inspiration. And this is why you and I often talk about it. Like, why are we so happy in what we're doing? And why are people so happy for us in what we're doing? And that is because that is exactly the essence of what it is that we're doing, right? Walt Disney used to sell happiness, right? And I'm sure the first time he went into that boardroom and said, I'm going to try to sell happiness, they threw him out. Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, what we're involved in here is spreading inspiration. And sure, we might get thrown out of a couple of boardrooms when we say that, but that is in essence what we're doing. And when people are inspired, at the end of the day, they do positive things. That's all we're trying to do.
And I think one of the things we probably haven't done a lot is ask for feedback. We haven't asked for it. We've gotten a lot.
Yep.
We are open to it. So if you go on GaleForceWins.com, there's buttons there to actually give us feedback. The emails will come in to Alan and I. We are interested in guest suggestions. You know, we are interested in entrepreneurs, and that's certainly an area, but maybe there's some other people out there that are really inspiring. I'll tell you one quick story. I'll never forget it. This lady who used to be a server in a restaurant told me she was so intimidated, Alan. I've never told you the story before. She was so, I won't tell her name. She may watch. She said she was so intimidated by executives that would come in with these beautiful coats on as she was serving them lunch or supper. Then she got a job in an office in a secretarial capacity, and her confidence improved because she realized that there was nothing special about guys and gals in suits. Yeah. So, you know, maybe there's someone out there that used to be a server in a restaurant that's enhanced their lives in some way, or still is a server. Yeah. It's people doing things that are interesting that we haven't touched on. I think we need people to start telling us who can we talk to?
Well, and you can do that on the website, right? You can reach us on the website, suggest guests that you would like to see come on. And I tell you, the guests, it would be so good to have people suggesting people. That happens now in the back end, but in a more formal way, to come forward and say, here's who you should have on your podcast and why. We did that just recently with a young man that was looking for a kidney. And he was suggested to us by one of the other guests that we had on. And we had him on, and I hope he finds that kidney. But what was really cool about that story, he wasn't even doing it for himself. He was doing it because he knew that there was a lot of people that needed a kidney. So he was doing it, try to raise the awareness of all the people that needed kidneys. And I thought it was kind of a cool little thing, but that came through one of our guests. And the other cool thing about what we've done in 2022 is we brought on a couple of co-hosts, right? So we had Karen Hocko on for an episode, and we had Judith Lovis on for 12 episodes, right? And that's the goal, is to grow more co-hosts into the business, so you don't just get the lens of Gerry and Al, but we want more. And again, if you're somebody out there that wants to be a co-host or can recommend a co-host and think that they're a good fit for what it is that we're doing, we're open to that too.
Well, we better clue this up because it's 20 minutes to 2 and we have to be at the Confederation building at 2 o'clock. So I think what I'd like to say is happy holidays. Thank you to every single person that gave us feedback, that watched, that was all the guests, and the business people that have supported us through various means. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you happy holidays.
Yeah.
And a happy new year.
Happy holidays to you too, Gerry. And whatever it is you're celebrating over this season, enjoy yourself, celebrate your friends and your family, and remain connected and listen to their stories. Thank you.
To every single person who contributed to GaleForceWins, we are grateful. May you all have the kind of holiday season that makes you truly happy.